This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
This podcast is sponsored by AMG Logistics and in association with the Birmingham City Official Supporters Clubs. I'm your host, Craig Courtney, and we're looking forward to the next Blues game and finding out what our opposition fans think. Sit tight and enjoy the next edition of The Away End. Hi, welcome to week 4 of The Away End. How time flies when you are having fun. And it certainly has been for Birmingham, coming off the back of another win at the weekend against Gary Rowett's Oxford United, and then leading up to, I can't believe I'm saying this already, but the first international break of the season. We're on course to also be finishing on a high as we go into the game against Leicester City for Sky's Friday night football. So, boy, is it going to be interesting. But let's also not forget, it's not just the international break, but the transfer window will also be coming to a close. So no doubt as we go through this, and we speak to Chris, we'll find out more about what we're expecting both of our clubs to be doing in the transfer window, whether that be outs or ins. So after a hard-fought 1-0 win against the U's at the weekend, Birmingham are travelling again to Leicester. Seems to be a common occurrence between ourselves, not necessarily in the league, but we've crossed paths in the cup a couple of times over the past couple of years. However, there's a little bit of a role reversal going on at the moment. Last time we played Leicester, Premier League. We played them in the FA Cup. We lost that game, but we've showed ourselves to be quite a decent team at the time. We've also played against Leicester when they've had some of our existing players. So I remember going not long before COVID lockdown when Demi Gray turned out for Leicester again in the FA Cup. This time, though, we go into this game where Leicester are off the back of a 1-0 win at the weekend. And sitting with 6 points in the league since the start of the season, so just a point behind Birmingham. However, we all hear things are not perfect in every single place. And also, as we'll come on to, I think there's a little bit of, will Leicester get a points deduction? Will they not? Will they suffer in the transfer window with people going out and nobody coming in? Or will they not? No doubt we'll hear from Chris. So I'm joined by Chris from the Leicester Till I Die podcast to go through the breakdown of our upcoming game. So, Chris, thank you very much. I would say long time no speak, but actually I think it was 2024, April 24 when we last spoke.
Yes.
So
we were both the championship, I believe, weren't we?
We were, and not just that. It was a case of going into the games where we're thinking, what's going to happen? And yeah, we lost. But it'll be good to hear the aspect now since you're dropped down from the Premier League, how you think things are going to go and what you see happening next. So we go into the game, record fairly even. So since we have been playing each other, Birmingham have won 51 games. We've drawn 26. We've lost 61. However, from a Birmingham fan, our last 5 really is not pleasant reading with 4 losses and a draw in the last 5 games. And as mentioned, we last played in April 2024 in the League Cup, which saw Leicester win 2-1. So it'll be interesting to see how things are now. So, Chris, welcome back. Tell us about Leicester now and what can we expect? What are the highs? What are the lows? But also, what's going on at your club? Because to go from Premiership and FA Cup winners to relegation, and God, it was like watching Birmingham in the Premier League because you went through so many managers again last season and now have another one that it's just, can I use the word turmoil?
You can, and you wouldn't be far off it. All I would say in my defence is we haven't taken an ex-Everton and Manchester United player as our manager yet.
As I said, That person is just like Harry Potter in their films. It is a name we shall not mention.
Well, that's why I didn't. That's why I was trying to mention. So I think, in fairness, when we met you last time in the Championship, I think we expected to win because of the mess that you were in. Basically, you'd had a good season the season before. You'd parted company, and I can't remember why, but you parted company with your manager.
Yeah.
You gave it to this gentleman that we won't mention, and of course, it all went a bit tits up for you. Not unlike Leicester City. I mean, our problems, and yes, I will have to say we are a club in turmoil. We won the Premier League 10 years ago. We won the FA Cup about 5 years ago. It's been an amazing sort of ride for us from where we were. If you'd given me that 10 years ago and said, yeah, but you'll get relegated at the end of it, I'd have bitten your hand off still,
Yeah.
because the problem was a little bit like when Leeds sort of started to drop down the divisions. We wanted to try and keep up. We had two fifth place finishes, only dropping out the top four in the Champions League on the last day. So we thought, hello, we could now become, one of the big boys. We're eating at the top table. But the big boys don't like that, do they? But if you want to do that, you've got to spend money.
Yeah.
And we were going out and we were buying players, most of which aren't here now, and the way we used to run the club was that we'd make one big sale every season. And that would kind of, balance it out. We didn't have to, apparently, we thought, but that's how we sort of did our business. So, Maguire went.
Yeah.
Chilwell went. Fofana went for 60. And it should have been Yuri Tielemans, but he's our Harry Potter person. He decided that he'd run down his contract and leave on a free. So those 30 million, suddenly we weren't getting back. So I think that's what we paid for him. Love him for scoring the FA Cup goal, but hating him for what he did to us. At least when Fofana did it, at least we got 60 million for him. So it was that we sailed close to the sun, we got burnt, and we are now paying the price for that. We'd been in the Europa League and the conference for a couple of seasons by finishing fifth. And UEFA said to us, this was sort of at the end of COVID, like, all right, if you don't, if you carry on spending as you are, you're going to be in breach of our PSR and you won't be able to play in Europe. I bet you regret asking me this now, aren't you? So we had to cut back. So it was the big Brendan Rodgers wanted a rebuild and what have you, and he was promised a rebuild, which made sense. All the best managers, renew the team every so often.
Yeah.
But we couldn't afford to, because if we spent that much money, and we, having finished fifth for 2 seasons, we never presumed that we weren't going to finish in the top half of the table. And yet there we were with the side virtually that won the FA Cup, going down to the last day, hoping that Bournemouth can get something at Everton, which they didn't, and we went down. So we then went and got completely out of the blue Enzo Maresca, who came in, absolutely did what he was meant to do. I mean, we were 17 points clear at one stage, as you remember that season.
That's right,
We had a bit of a tumble, but we still went up, I think, by 7 points. Went up as champions, created a new record for the number of times we've won that. Also means we've got relegated more times than anybody else. He then decides, and I get it. I didn't appreciate it at the time, but Chelsea came in, and Chelsea offered him a job.
Yeah.
Now he's got no connection to Leicester at all. For him, it's a job, and he was on a high. If he stayed at Leicester, then that job might not come along again. But having just won the promotion, he went. We got 10 million for him, and then they also bought Kieran Dewsbury Hall, which was 30.
Yeah, that's right.
40 million for the package, which was about what we were down with PSR. And because of course PSR runs over a 3-year period.
Over a 3-year period, yeah.
Problem was he took all his staff with him. Our owner had this love affair with Graham Potter. I think it only stopped when he got a warning to stay away from him. How many times do you ask a girl out that she keeps saying no that you get the message? She was holding on and on and on. And by the look of West Ham at the moment, I think we may have dodged a bullet. But yeah, so he sort of we had to get someone in at the last minute. We got Steve Cooper, who the fans didn't like because they were wanting, an Enzo type character. And he came in, he didn't have any backroom staff to sort of help him and tell him about the players because they'd all gone with Enzo. He literally took everybody, they're all his staff. He went out and bought very badly, bought, very old stroke experience, whichever way you want to look at it, players. And then, funny thing was, looking back, we were 16th when we sacked him. We'd got away with PSR because we had a very good lawyer, Nick DeMarco. And as we say, there's never a loophole, and he says this: there's never a loophole in a law. There's just very badly written rules. So, like it or lump it, we got away with it. Nothing that we did there was illegal. We did it all legally, but we managed to skirt round PSR. And in fairness, there should have been other clubs looking and going, bloody hell, we should have done that.
Yep.
But it's coming back to bite us on the bum now, of course, having got relegated. But I think once we were told we knew we weren't getting PSR, we thought, well, we should be, top half again. And we weren't because we didn't have the best squad. And it all went wrong. And then, and I'll tell you something, I would have sooner had your gentleman that we may not name, I'd sooner had him in as manager than Ruud van Nistelrooy, who was absolutely the worst manager that this ever, and I'm going back to 1860. I mean, we have never had a worse manager than him. The guy got the job because he did managed 4 games for Manchester United.
Yeah.
2 of those were against us, and we were bloody awful, And he came in. We just lost 4-1 to Brentford, and we were awful. We'd sacked Cooper a couple of weeks ago. The guy that was sort of standing in was doing exactly everything that Cooper did, so I thought it would be different. But then Ruud van Nistelrooy came in, and we beat West Ham, and we got a draw with Brighton, and we said, hey, this guy knows what he's doing. And I think we then went on a run of 19 games or something without winning. 17 of those, we didn't score a goal at home.
Yeah, that's why I remember seeing it on the TV and thinking, they were all begging for Vardy to get that key goal, wasn't they, to take him to his record, etc. as well, and made a massive thing of it.
But if you think that your Voldemort was bad, like I say, I'll swap your Voldemort for our Voldemort. He had... I mean, how they say it's insanity, don't they? Trying to do the same thing again and again and again and expecting a different outcome. It's not going to happen. And he's playing the same team and the same formation with the same tactics. I've forgotten there was 2 halves to a pitch. Our players never went over the halfway line.
So uncanny. What you're describing is what we went through, and. I will mention him, Rooney, or the man that was dealt with a bad card, apparently, according to himself, by Tom Brady. However, we will not go there. But it is uncanny what you say. And part of it, I put down to the fact that it was trying to play with players who are a perfect square fit and trying to fit them into a round hole and asking them to do something that their skills and their knowledge doesn't allow them to do. And that's exactly what we saw. We want a tippy-tappy, beautiful football. We didn't have players to play tippy-tappy, beautiful football. What we had was a team that would fight tooth and nail to get a result that over a very short period of time went from having a little bit of confidence, because when he took over, we were 6th in the league, to a team that was totally depleted of confidence and didn't know which way they were turning next or what position they were going to play, what they were going to be asked to do. So it is very uncanny how the two sides have come together. And ultimately, I think the same result came out at both clubs, just at different times. Obviously, Birmingham with the relegation to Division 1, reset button, perfect thing we needed. Confidence built. Bringing in, of course, and you mentioned Brendan Rodgers, but he's number 2 in Chris Davies. And what a gentleman and stroke of genius our owners have pulled out the bag with that one, because he is phenomenal. Can see all of the aspects of what he was like when he was at Celtic, Liverpool, Leicester, Spurs, all now coming together in a team that he is building himself. And come on, last season was his very first as number 1. So, and it's continuing into this season. But do you? I mean,
just to come back to you on that, it is almost the same, because I mean, when we went down to League One, Nigel Pearson came in, and the rest, as I say, is history. But we were in that position that Ruud van Nistelrooy definitely was putting square pegs in round holes. But a good manager, and look, I've been a manager of a sales team, and I learned very quickly that because I thought Jack would work best with Molly, that they didn't get on. So I had to put Jack with somebody else, or give him a different, area to cover.
Play to strengths.
Exactly. And as a manager coming in, you've got to look at that and go, okay, 10 games, we've not scored a goal, we've not won. Maybe I'm not doing something right here. Now, he's saying it was all good on the training field, but it wasn't good on the pitch. And you've got to accept, no matter how good it is on the training field, week in, week out, that's what you've got to look at. And you've got to look at that and say, yes, I want to play this sort of football. And Enzo did, and it worked with Enzo. But Steve Cooper, in his short time, had changed things around. So you're asking the players to change for a third time. And you look at that and go, this isn't working. What is the best formation and style for the players I've got?
Exactly.
And put those players into... It's like when you with England, why pick a player for England that's, a central defender, and then when he plays for England, put him on as a right back? You play the players in their best positions. I mean, that's obvious to me.
And obviously, the relegation, right? I think it was on the cards pretty early doors what was going to happen. You've come down to the Championship. Championship is a totally different beast since the last time you were there. Arguably, for me, the hardest league that there is out there at this present moment, because it's worth so much. Teams are actually very closely linked in terms of spend and the way things are. This season's actually a bit strange, because what we're seeing is teams that had parachute payments haven't been successful in getting back up, and are now beginning to feel the pinch themselves. So actually spending in the Championship, apart from those teams such as ourselves who've got a bit of money, is actually really low. And players are leaving clubs to make the books balance, which I think, you are definitely seeing at Leicester at the moment. And watching the game yesterday, that's what I saw. And that was the comment I heard. You see some of the names on the benches, and it's like, well, will Leicester see more going out rather than coming in? Are they going to have to recoup money? So, we're only, 3 games in? And it's already showing that the teams that came down are struggling, in terms of getting a right balance. But I take nothing for granted, because this league is one that you never look at and think, right, that team's going to get promoted or that team's going to get relegated until Christmas. And then you get a rough idea.
Yeah, totally. I mean, last time we came down, we spent a lot of money under Enzo, and bought some good players, and obviously, the results showed. We knew when we came down that this was going to be a hard season. Yeah. With or without a points deduction, and we will get a points deduction. And to be honest with you, I can't wait for us to get a points deduction, because I want us to get it and get it out the way. Because every season, what we're going to get, is it going to happen? And, every season that we put it off, it comes back and bites us the next season. So we've got to just accept it and get on with it.
It resets the clock as well, because once it's done, as Birmingham experienced, once it's done, yes, it lingers, but it starts again. So it gives you that fresh start.
It does. So we knew we had to get rid of, a lot of players, because they were we're paying ridiculous wages, and B, we don't like them. They're rubbish, most a lot of them, you know. But unfortunately, those aren't the ones that are being sold. We've sold value of £42 million so far. When Marty came in, he knew that he had to sell before he could buy.
Yeah.
So for once, we actually told a manager the way that it actually was, and he wanted to come. He paid half of his release clause to come to us. So fair play. And he looks I can see what he's trying to do. Do you know what I mean? He makes substitutes at the right time. And the substitutes he makes are brilliant. And he actually changes system. We have a plan B now. I didn't know there was a plan B. But we knew, look, I said if we finish 7th or 8th, I'd be happy. If we stay down another season, it's not done Leeds any harm.
No.
You know, sometimes it can work better. We obviously had the new, well, not obviously, but we had the new training facility at Seagrave, £100 million. Thank you, Man United, for buying Maguire and paying for that. And but we said, like, well, what's happening? All this money's been spent. Now you're seeing a crop of about 10 or 12 youngsters all coming through.
Yeah.
And I'm almost saying, I did say at the start of the season, if there's a transfer embargo, I'm not bothered, because it means we'll give the youngsters a chance. Now, we saw a couple of youngsters yesterday. Page, Charlton were a very, very powerful team in the fact, they didn't take prisoners.
The structure, may I add, that I expect of that team throughout the season, because it's what the manager there is about.
Yes.
I don't know about you, but I can't stand him.
I was surprised how well they were playing under him. He's not one of my favourites. But look, if he's working for Charlton, fair play to him. I don't mind Charlton. But yeah. So there's Louis Page, 17 years old in the centre, getting bullied a lot. Not as you would expect, and he would have done the same. So he was taken off. Monga, who is going to be Maradona if you listen to our fans, and he probably is. He's absolutely amazing. He's 16. He's not done his A levels yet. He's only just done his GCSEs or whatever the youngsters call them these days. And he's at school more than he's at the training pitch.
Yeah.
When he comes on as an impact sub, funny enough, like a certain player that we both had, when he came on as an impact sub, he's brilliant. But he started, and but he's got an amazing talent. The actual performance wasn't brilliant. It was a bit of a smash and grab. And there's teams, excuse me, such as yourselves, that will not be as kind to us with the finishing as Charlton were. That said, the goal that won it, oh my God, goal of the season for us already. That is what Fatawu does. And we need to hold on to him. But we knew this was going to be a difficult season. A lot of fans at the start said, "Oh, we're going to come straight back up like we did last time," and no, we're not. And no, we shouldn't. We should be made to fight for it. But we've got 6 of the 10 most expensive players, as in their wages, are on our books in that league. The top one being Harry Winks, who's on 90 grand a week.
And was sitting on the bench yesterday.
Yes, he was, which again, look, you've got to trust the manager sometimes, haven't you? You know, and the club. And he's playing Skip and Samari in the middle of the field. Well, you might as well put, Billy the Kid and, John Wayne or whatever in there. They are, to us fans, they're rubbish. They don't work together. Winks is the better one. But the manager keeps starting with them two. So there's obviously something he sees.
Yeah.
Winks, I think, we're hoping he will go. He's a bit of a, plays by his rules, not by the club's. But he's on 90 grand a week. We can't afford, again, PSR. We can't afford it, But again, when we got rid of Connor Cody, we got rid of him to Wrexham. He was on 75 grand a week. And I
Wow.
have to say, we complain about the club, but he wanted to go to Glasgow Rangers on a free because A, it would mean he'd get more money because he's not having to pay a transfer fee, and B, he feels he can win things because either Celtic or Rangers are always going to win things up there.
And Europe as well. There's
Yeah,
the,
and
the,
exactly,
the
yeah,
tie of Europe.
yeah. And we said no. Well, John Rudkins, our director of football, said no. We're not letting him go for nothing, and we got 2 million out of us from Wrexham. So well done, Wrexham, and also Wrexham took Danny Ward from us as well, who was an awful keeper. So well done, Wrexham. We love Wrexham.
Well, I've got to say though, from a point of view of a club, 2 million for Connor Cody, as Birmingham fans, we'd have, I think, taken him, a
Oh
couple of
no,
seasons ago without fail, and did look at him coming. But I think for yourselves, £2 million is actually a decent bit of business because
yeah,
not getting any younger. He's going into a team where, yes, he is going to play football, but that's because he's going to bring the experience to the Wrexham team. But
yes,
it was a good piece of business, and I agree. If you get a player that wants to go for a free, but you get 2 million quid, you're going to snap their hands off all the time. Player may
totally.
hate it, but tough. You own the
Yeah,
player at the end of the day.
exactly. I have to say, yeah, 2 years ago, if you're interested in him, I get it.
Mm.
Obviously, that's when we got him. I think you dodged a bullet there, though.
Well, we will only see because he might stand out an absolute mile and have a flyer at Wrexham. But I'm not. Put it this way, I wouldn't stake my house on it. So
No, not at all.
and so we're going into Friday league game,
Mm.
Sky TV. They always choose these games, don't they? But tell
I
us what
think
we
we,
can
I think
expect.
our 3 o'clock Saturday kickoff was the last one we've got till about November.
And Birmingham, 5 of the first 8 games on TV is ridiculous. But get them out the way early so
Yeah.
that Sky don't bother us again. But
And it does mean you're being successful because they want to put you on the telly.
exactly. But tell us about what to expect from Leicester, your home game. And I've got to ask the $1 million question: will the clappers be out?
Get your clappers out for the lads, eh? No, I don't think they do the clappers anymore. I think they're there if you want to pick them up. I like the clappers. Everybody don't seem to not like the clappers, but on a cold day when it's hurting your hands to keep clapping, they were all right. And they created the atmosphere. They did what they did in that Great Escape season. So fair play to the club. What can you expect from Leicester is probably pretty much what you saw against Charlton, because I'm pretty sure I don't think Mongo will start again, and I don't think Page will start again. And it will be interesting to see with Page coming out whether Elkanous will come back in again.
Mm-hmm.
He was awful against Huddersfield when we played them in the cup, so he was dropped. But he's also our next most sellable asset.
So you've got to put him in the window.
We have got to put him in the window, but then we don't want to get him injured.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it's a
that catch
difficult one.
22, isn't it?
It is.
You want a player to go for as much money as possible, but you don't want to see him get a knock that's going to roll them out for 2 months and then all of a sudden the deal's off and you've got to pay you 60, 70 grand a week.
Yes, yeah. I mean, we were very good because he had a get out clause. If we got relegated, he could go for 22 million or something like that. We only paid 20 for him, but that's what we had to do to get him. And he is going to be an amazing talent. And if somebody gets him now, it's good business because they're playing 30 odd million for a player that in 5 years' time, or 4 years' time, if they come and buy him off us, will be like 80, 90 million.
Yeah.
So they're getting a good deal. But do you play him? Don't you play him? That is going to be the big question. If he doesn't play, he's off.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. Mavadidi will be, I think, back on the left. Because obviously we just sold Casey McAteer, who's our other spare winger.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, because I say Monga, he's better coming on as a impact sub. But you're going to get we play out from the back. I hate it, but we play out from
Scary,
the
isn't
back.
it? It's
Yeah,
scary.
it's too bloody scary. Just boot it upfield, and if we lose it, at least you lost it in the opposition's half. But you're not going to see the team that you would have watched last season if you'd seen us in the Premier League. We do get forward. If Vestergaard plays, which he probably will, yes, he's 2 years older than last time, but he can put the ball from our penalty spot on your penalty spot.
Yeah.
He's such a good passer. He's got the turning circle of the Titanic and the speed of a tortoise. But when it comes to distributing balls, he's really good. James Justin might be back, but again, he's been rumoured. Leeds are after him. I'm scared of this game. I really, really am. I think we beat Sheffield Wednesday 2-1. That was lucky. I mean, everyone was predicting 5-4, 6-0. You know what I mean? It's Sheffield Wednesday, they're in the shit. What you forgot was they were playing for pride.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, I've got to say that Sheffield Wednesday side, they did that. They didn't do that for the owners. They didn't do that for a salary. They did that on the day for the fans. And
yes,
I said on our show after that game, actually, fair play to every single Leicester City fan that stood up and applauded them in and showed the the backing that they were given in the situation that Sheffield Wednesday are in. And I know we've seen this as well in different other games. I think there's something planned for the Wrexham game where the Wrexham fans are going to show their support. And I'm sure that will continue across the league because it is disgraceful. But the owners are only going to go when they feel the time is right. Also, we've heard, Chris, a little bit about the midfield that you've got at Leicester, and potential for changes going into Friday. Where else do you think we can see the strengths of the Leicester side? And dare I say it, as much as people don't always like to admit it, but do you have any weaknesses?
We've got a lot of weaknesses. Goalkeeper, thankfully, isn't one of them. We let Everson go when he was out of contract, in fairness, and he wanted first team football, so he's gone to Preston. We wish him all the best. We sold Madsen Manson, which everybody was saying, we got caught with our pants down. We only sold him for 20 odd million, but he's not exactly doing brilliantly at West Ham, 8 goals in 2 games.
Yeah.
Oops. So maybe it was a good deal after all. But Stolarczyk, and again, if you saw his save against Charlton, we love him. He's going to be another Schmeichel. The defence, we've got a Coley who is prone to, as a centre back, he's prone to a mistake, and then we've either got Wout Faes or Yannick Vestergaard. Again, 2 very high wage earners. We're looking to possibly get off the books. Vestergaard, like I said, is good, but Wout Faes has actually started well this season. The wings, it'll probably be Luke Thomas on the left. I don't know whether Ricardo will start because he's been out injured since the start of the season, and he is he's a great player when he's fit, but the problem is keeping him fit.
Yeah.
So he may not start him. If James Justin is fit, he'll come back in. If not that, it'll be Hamza Chowdhury, who I'd sooner see as one of our defensive midfielders because that's his natural role, but he can play like that. Up front, I mean, the midfield is probably our strongest area, the 3 behind the strikers. We normally play 4-2-3-1. The striker, of course, we've got no Jamie Vardy now, which isn't the worst news in the world because, to say that we'd got a manager who scored 10 in 10, and a striker who scored 11 in 11 last season, and we weren't scoring bloody goals. But look, it's like whoever was it up front, it was always that Vardy thing hanging over them. Like Alex Ferguson in the Man United dressing room. He was always there.
Yeah, he was perhaps, I mean, dare I say, was it time for Vardy to go the season before when he had an opportunity to again move into other clubs? But he was like, no, I'm going to give it one more season. And I think he was chasing, wasn't he? That He wanted that record, and I
Yes.
totally get that as a player. Do you think actually keeping Jamie Vardy was one of your downfalls?
No, one of our downfalls was employing Ruud van Nistelrooy. There's, when you've got a striker and you expect that striker to score goals, and you very, very rarely go over the halfway line, how's that going to happen?
Yeah.
So yes, the players weren't good enough. I will accept that, but Van Nistelrooy, I would as soon have, like I say, had your Voldemort than him. That's how bad he was.
So
He'd have gone. He'd have gone early if we could have afforded to. We had to
Peter,
leave it till we did because again of PSR.
yeah. So do you think? I mean, obviously we're going into the game on Friday, which is closer to arguably the last full day of the transfer window. So are you expecting there to be more changes with outgoings prior to the game? Um, and do you think you'll bring anybody in, or is it going to be a look? We've got to balance the books. We've had to let people go, and like you say, letting the youngsters play.
There are going to be more outgoings. I hope there are going to be more outgoings. Look, Winks has played well when he's come on, but 90 grand a week, we just can't afford it.
Yeah.
That's and when you look, I mean, I say 6 of the most 10 well-paid players in the Championship play for Leicester. That says it all.
Says it all.
We're not that team anymore, that's up at the top of the Premier League and all the benefits of that. We haven't even got a sponsor yet on our shirts, which is actually in some ways quite nice because they look better without a
I've got to
sponsor.
say, I absolutely love the shirts with 8 sponsors. I
Yes,
really,
yeah.
really do. And I do wish that the clubs would look at it and say, look, even if you do get a chief sponsor, sometimes it's nice to sell a shirt with 8. You might pay a premium because you haven't got a name showing. But yeah, it's nice to do.
Maybe something like 55 quid without a sponsor, with a sponsor, or 70 quid without.
Yeah, just to
You
balance
know,
everything off.
yeah. So yeah, we're gonna have to sell more. I think El Canoes will go. Fatawu has now just been linked with Liverpool, although there's so much agent talk and what have you. I think he's happy at Leicester. I think he likes it at Leicester. And I'm sorry, as much as I love El Canoes, let him go and keep Fatawu when
Yeah,
he produces moments like he did against Charlton. We need a striker. We do need a striker. We've got Ayu, who is very, very, he's good at what he does. And I said he'll probably be one of our main options this season because he'll hold the ball up.
yeah.
And then if you've got the like of Fatawu, Mavadidi, Mongo, whatever behind him coming through to take it off, and he'll get his free kicks as well. He's very good at winning free kicks. Daka, who's the other striker. Oh my God. Brothel comes to mind. You know that saying. He runs his heart out for the club, but I mean, one of the first games he played against Moscow in the Europa League, and he got 4 goals in one game. And
You're
we
like,
thought,
wow.
hello. But again, it was that you're not going to knock Jamie Vardy off the top spot.
Yeah.
But even with Vardy going, he just can't score for long. I wish the ball would just go in off his arse or something,
Yeah.
just to give him that bit of confidence. I mean, great managers come out. He said he's part of my plans, blah blah blah, which you'd expect him to. You don't, throw your players under the bus. No, we need a striker. And that. See, we had Tom Cannon, who was came from Everton and had been at Preston, and he'd torn the league up. And we bought him, and nobody played him. And we had a few changes of managers, as you alluded to earlier. But he's gone to Sheffield United. We got 10 million for him. And they're saying, what a bloody big deal, good deal by Leicester. They're laughing all the way to the bank because he's shite at Sheffield United. So, but we do need a strike. I mean, some of the fans are even talking about getting Jamie Vardy back.
Well, you pay a premium, don't you? This is the thing. For the striker is the person that ultimately When you look at teams being promoted, it's around if you've got goal scorers throughout, great. But if not, your reliance on that person up front to
Yeah.
put them away each time. And therefore, you always end up paying a premium. It's the one where the highest value always goes.
Yes.
And I guess that is something where the loan market for me is the best place sometimes to explore because you can get somebody at a snippet of the wages that's fringe to a Premiership side, for example, wants
Yeah.
to show what they can do, and you get the right person, and you're going to get what you need, and you could end up with a bargain. Somebody on loan can get you promoted. Do you think that that's the way that Leicester will go? Do you think it'll be a loan market job, or do you believe well actually you'll bring somebody in?
I think we're going to have to use the loan market. Last when we had Cooper in, we actually loaned Edward from Crystal Palace,
Mm-hmm.
and we signed him on a deal where we couldn't send him back, and we never saw him for 9 months. He was not even on the bench. And that wasn't just Cooper, that was Van Nistelrooy. So, if you're going to do a loan, and they always say, don't they, if the loan's good, don't fall in love with a loan player.
Yeah, never
Um,
fall in love with a loan player.
I think we will go loan. I mean, we've been linked, God help us, with Oxlade Chamberlain.
As have
Now,
Birmingham, interestingly.
yeah, I mean, take him, please. I mean, again, a bit of a sick note. Again, quite old. Yeah, not for me.
It's a case of it's confidence as well, isn't it? And it's about those, like you say, the youngsters in the lower leagues wanting to
Yeah,
prove what they can do, and you get them at a snip of the money because the lower league clubs desperately need it. They'll
yeah,
come to you, they set the name out there, and all of a sudden, okay, if we can't go up, we could be a Premiership player because somebody's going to come sniffing, and
yes,
that's what most clubs I think now in the Championship actually do look at doing is that sign the young eager players, somebody that's going
mm,
to be there on a 3-4 year contract, snippet of money, but aiming to improve. Um,
yes.
so Friday then sounds interesting. Sounds as though we're going to have a decent game, and it could be very very open. Tell us what your heart says, and what does your head say the result will be.
My heart would take a 1-1 draw at the moment. My head says 2-1 to you.
Wow. I've got to say, you are the first person ever to come on the away end and predict that the away team's going to win.
I think you've got to be honest, and like you said, you gave me the chance there to say what with my heart. And obviously, with my heart, I can never go against my team.
Yep.
But we've just got to look at the form. You've come up, and I do apologise. I'm just trying to have a look what you've done here. You've played three, you've not lost yet.
Mm-hmm.
You've won two, drawn one. You've come up on a high because obviously you came up promoted and what have you, and you've got good ownership in there now. And let me just say as well, I know a lot of clubs there, in the championship have been bemoaning, your money and what have you. Um, Go for it. Sod off. If anybody's moaning, it's just the jealous and it's not their club.
You've got
You know,
to
if you,
you've got to run a club well to generate
yeah,
the revenue, and when you've got
yeah,
the revenue, you can spend it. And
yeah,
it's
and
simple model. Bring
yeah.
in the money. You've got money
Yeah.
to spend.
And I think your owners, hopefully, they'll learn from the fact that, Wayne Rooney, I'm going to say his name, Wayne Rooney was, I think you went for the name like we did with Ruud van Nistelrooy, and I think it backfired. And, if they've learned from that, which they appear to have done, fair play to them. But no, good luck with it, mate. Good luck with it. But I think you've got to be honest. We've got to be honest with ourselves. I mean, last year when we were losing all those games, I was predicting a loss every single week because I was getting more points in the prediction league than Leicester were in the Premier League. So fair, it's, I mean, okay, we're seventh, you're sixth, there's only a point between us. But having watched our performances, like I say, if Charlton had got the shooting boots on, it would have been a different score.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm actually my head says it'll be. I think we'll get a 1-1. I think it'll be a good game. I think the at the moment what we're seeing with Birmingham is a team that are still gelling, and we saw it the weekend against Oxford that Kyojo had opportunities to go and score, but just hasn't quite got the target right at the moment. That'll come good. But the standout player is obviously for us at the moment, who is Mr. Consistent, is Ethan Laird. He has been phenomenal. He started coming off the bench. He started on Saturday and was just absolutely brilliant. Man of the match performances in 2 of the 4 games. Tells you everything. Okay. And in terms of the information, the only other thing is Dimmy Gray. Dimmy Gray's come back. He's come back to Birmingham, and he is at the moment really beginning to show his true colours. So,
it never worked for him at Leicester.
No, it didn't. It was strange because he had his opportunities. He just didn't. I don't know what it was. It didn't gel, did he? In effect,
when he came on as a substitute, he put in some good performances, and we will love him forever for scoring the goal in the game, the first game we played after our chairman passed away in the helicopter crash.
That's right. Yes.
Love him forever for that. Total respect for him and the T-shirt that he wore and everything. And when he came on as a sub, you're thinking, my God, yeah, he's good. And they started in the next game, and he was awful.
Yep.
He couldn't start games, but he could come on. And then towards the end, I think he wasn't being used, and I understand he got a bit bored, but there'd be pictures of him sat on the bench, on his phone and what have you. But yeah, we didn't see the best of him, and he's going to score. Score against us.
Well, I'm going to stick with a 1-1 because I still think it'll be close, and at the end of the day, it'll just be interesting to see how the teams fare in comparison to the last time we met. But Chris, thank you very much indeed for joining us on the away end, which is sponsored by AMG Logistics and in association with the Birmingham City official supporters clubs, who, all I can say is watch out for the flags because there'll be plenty of them down there at the game on Friday. So good luck for the rest of the season. We will do this again when we play the game at St Andrews at Knighthead Park. So that will be a good, I think, positioning point as well in regards to where we are in the league. And all the very best of the season, apart from Friday.
Of course. And I would say exactly the same. Thank you for having me on. And look, it would be great, look. The thing when I was very, very quickly, when I was in the Premier League, we never had any really decent derbies.
Yeah.
Because at that point, Villa had got relegated as well.
Can't say that word.
No, sorry. But no, I say also with the word relegated. So
that was all right, yeah.
Yeah. Wolves I just didn't count as a thing. So I like the fact that there's the more Midland, that was great when Forest came up, the more Midlands teams we can get up. So if we both go up, that'd be a good thing.
Be amazing for the Midlands, and I've said it before. Too much dominancy of London and the North. We need those teams in the middle to help us put the Premier League well and truly on the map.
Just as long as it's not Coventry.
Yeah, well, we'll let you have that one. But thank you very much again for joining us on the away end.
You're welcome.
And I'll sign off as always by saying, keep right on.